In this short video, we will be looking at these 5 simple rules to make sure you only use ARIA when you need to and in the way that it was intended.
Hi, this is Stephen, and welcome to Exploring Accessibility.
So what are these rules? I say rules, but they're more like guidelines. No one's going to come around and break your legs if you don't follow them, but you are more likely to create accessibility issues if you don't.
The first rule of ARIA is don't use ARIA, which apart from making me think of Fight Club, means use the inbuilt semantic elements and attributes the browsers offer. Don't use ARIA if you don't have to. For example, use a button tag when you need a button. Don't give a span or div tag the role of button. Place a button's label within the button tag itself rather than using ARIA label. There are times where this may not be possible or desired, like if you are trying to use an HTML-supported element that is not implemented or does not have accessibility support, if UX requirements rule out using a native element as it can't be styled as needed.
Select tag, I'm looking at you.
A select tag, for example, is famously hard to style and is often replaced with a custom-built component. If the feature is not currently available in HTML, HTML has no native element for a switch or tab, but ARIA supports these roles. In cases like this, it's okay to use ARIA. The second rule of ARIA is keep native semantics. Many elements in browsers have implicit roles and semantic meaning. Don't use ARIA to change the native semantics of elements. In plain English, if you need a button, use a button tag. Don't use an anchor tag and give it the role button. If you change the native semantics, you need to provide all the styling that the native element supports, as well as providing the relevant keyboard controls the role supports. A link made to look like a button, for example, does not have the styling that buttons have for all the different states, and also has different keyboard controls. A button can be triggered with Enter or Space, but a link can only be triggered via Enter. By default, pressing Space on a focused link will just scroll the page.
Yeah, that really useful ability that no one ever needs.
The third rule of ARIA is ARIA controls have to be keyboard accessible. Any component that you make that you can interact with via pointing devices and gestures has to work with keyboards in the same way and support any standard keyboard controls that their roles require. The ARIA Authoring Practices Guide, or APG, can show you the keyboard requirements that different roles have. Remember that for an accessible website, the entire site should just work with keyboard. No pointing device or touch device should be required. This is also why your site should be structured logically with elements in the correct order and why you need to restore focus after programmatically changing focus. Someone using a keyboard operated with a stick in their mouth shouldn't have to refocus manually on a button that opened a modal after the modal closes. This should be automatically done by you. The fourth rule of ARIA is keep focusable elements focusable. Do not remove the role from a focusable element using the presentation role, or hide a focusable element from the accessibility tree using ARIA hidden. This also applies if the element with these attributes contains focusable descendants. If something is focusable, it should be focusable. The only exceptions are if the focusable element is not visible, i.e. hidden with CSS display none, or made unfocusable with a tab index of -1. Here on YouTube you can see an example of using ARIA hidden on an anchor tag in the suggestions next to the current video. This makes the links around the thumbnail only usable by people using a mouse or touch device. Users of keyboards or screen readers can still view a suggested video by using the link around the video's title. An alternative to this approach would have been to have just one link around the title text and expand its hitbox to encompass the entire suggested video card. More on this in another video. The fifth and last rule of ARIA is interactive elements require an accessible name. If the element is interactable, it should have an accessible name exposed to accessibility APIs. The accessible name for an element is resolved with a prioritized list of different sources. First, ARIA labeled by is used if found, otherwise ARIA label will be used. At this point, if there is still no label, the label will be derived based on the tag. The value attribute is used for inputs of type button, submit, and reset. The alt attribute is used for inputs of type image, image tags, and area tags. Field set tags use their first child legend tag. and other types of form fields use their associated label. Figure tags use their first child fig caption tag, and table tags use their first child caption tag. If there is still no label, the tag's relevant child content will be used instead. For example, an anchor tag's text will be used as a label. As a fallback, browsers will, if no label has been found, choose one of the following as a label: the title attribute, if present, or placeholder attribute for inputs of type text, password, search, telephone, and URL, and text area tags. A localized version of the word submit for inputs of type submit. A localized version of the word reset for inputs of type reset. The title attribute if present, or a localized version of the phrase submit query for inputs of type image. The word details for summary tags. The title attribute will be used for all other tags. It is recommended not to rely on the fallbacks, but instead provide one of the higher prioritized sources of label. For more information about how the accessible name is derived, see the link in the description below. So, those were the 5 simple rules about ARIA that you need to keep in mind when creating components for your website.
At least if you care about accessibility, which you probably do as you just watched this video.
Thanks for staying till the end. If you liked it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to be notified about more videos exploring accessibility.